up, everybody? This is your boy, Teran Rodriguez, bringing you another edition of Set Point. And as always, we have ourselves a jam-packed show as we have a lot of volleyball to discuss, as it is the Season 7 premiere of Set Point. Our show that this has been on the air for 7 seasons and over 300 episodes. But we have NCAA Women's Volleyball this season. This week, the 2025 season gets kicked off with the ACCA First Serve Challenge, courtesy of Nebraska hosting, as well as another site as well. And then we have the Manhattan Beach Open recap from the AVP, which pairs were able to come out on top. Also, a recap of the USA Men's Volleyball National Team scrimmage between the Reds and the Blue Team. They'll be back at this Friday at Vanguard University. And how about Byron Nelson continuing its tear as they wound up winning the Ann Kenny tournament? Give me volleyball. Set next. I'm about to take volleyball action here on Set Point. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you the Season 7 premiere of Set Point here on iSports Radio. Your feed for all that is important. And welcome all to another edition of Set Point. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Monday afternoon, Monday evening, Monday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you've made your way in episode 312 of Set Point. Without any further delay, let's begin. But first and foremost, Set Point would not be where it's at without iSports Radio providing the platform to go live on YouTube, Twitch, and X. Please do follow iSports Radio on several different social media accounts such as X, TikTok, and Instagram. Yes, we brought back the iSports Radio Instagram, so definitely do give us a follow at iSports Radio. Also, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube page. We would greatly appreciate it. We're trying to reach 500 subscribers, and with your help, we could definitely make it happen. So if you aren't subscribed already, please do subscribe to iSports Radio. You would definitely be helping out myself as well as my teammates. And the way you can follow Set Point on social media is on X, formerly known as Twitter, at set_point.ie. You could also follow me personally on X as well, at Teran Rodriguez1. You could also follow me on Instagram at set_point.iesr, which is where I'm starting to post most of my content as well. For the last 10 years, iSports Radio has been bringing you amazing content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, like I did last Thursday, and other authorized media personnel, to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making iSports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. A huge shout out to both of our sponsors, Plant Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, and Vital Apparel. So without any further delay, let's get on into what our sponsors are all about. I will see you on the other side.
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
That's right, everybody. Definitely check out our amazing sponsors. We appreciate our two sponsors for being the official sponsors of IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. And without any further delay, let's get on into the volleyball action. So we'll start off with some NCAA women's volleyball. This week, we have NCAA women's volleyball, which is quite amazing. It starts this Friday with the first serve, the AVCA's first serve challenge, which is awesome sauce. It's going to be held not in the Devaney Center. It's going to be held in Nebraska's bigger gym, which is so awesome to see. But let's get cracking on all these previews because we got quite a bit of volleyball to discuss because this is the Season 7 premiere of Set Point. So contrary to popular belief, Pitt and Nebraska and Florida and Stanford are the only ones playing on the 22nd. Every other match is a scrimmage. So let's preview Pitt versus Nebraska. All right, Pitt versus Nebraska. This is the one. This is the matchup, which I think is so awesome. And, man, if there is ever a matchup to basically watch for and to kick off the NCAA women's volleyball season, it's this one. Just because these are the two teams that wound up losing in the semifinals or in the Final Four of last year's NCAA tournament. And both of these teams are trying to basically look to see who is the better of the two to start off with. So this will be played at Pinnacle Bank Arena. So that's something to keep in mind. Do not go to the Bob Devaney Center. It will not be pleasant for you, and you will be left empty-handed. So Brian Francione pops to the chat room. He says, good evening, Teran. Thank you, Brian, for popping in. I appreciate you. But looking at Pitt versus Nebraska, look, Pitt's going to have Olivia Babcock, but now that her running mate, Tori Stafford, is pretty much transferred to Texas, it's basically going to be a little bit different. Who's going to be stepping up on the left side when it comes to this Pitt team? I mean, Olivia Babcock is absolutely outstanding, but it's going to have to probably be like Blair Bayless, who is an outside. She's one of the returning players, and she had herself quite the summer. Ryla Jones is a middle. She'll do great guns for this Pitt team. You also have Bree Kelly in the middle as well. They might be the best middle blocker duo other than Nebraska. Like, Nebraska obviously has Rebecca Alec and Andy Jackson, but honestly, this Pitt team, they'll still be up there. It won't be flashy like last year, but I still think this team is going to be absolutely astounding. I think Nebraska will get the better of Pitt, but hey, Pitt, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong and tell me why I should believe y'all, because Nebraska has a bunch of their players returning. And obviously, I just mentioned their two middles, and then you've got a lot of other players returning. The only big question mark for this team is the libero, but I think they're going to figure that out. I think, in my opinion, they definitely have a lot of talent in that position. It's just going to boil down to who will be the one. And then you obviously have Harper Murray on the outside. So to me, I think this Nebraska team is going to be as lethal and deadly as always when it comes to this team. I feel as long as they get their passing down, this team is going to be a big time threat. I can't imagine this team not having a fallback here just because they lost Lexi Rodriguez. And they've got Bergen Riley returning. They got Lainey Choboy, who could be the libero, Macy Bosiger, who could be the libero. Like, there's just so much talent on this team. It's just not even funny. And they also got Taylor Landfair too. So this team is going to be outstanding for years to come. I can't imagine this team ever taking a step backward. So there you have it with that Nebraska preview. I think it's going to be electric. And then also on Friday, you've got Florida versus Stanford, which Florida's going to be a whole different team, especially with Kennedy Martin having transferred. Will Alexis Stuckey be able to lead her team back to the promised land? I mean, obviously, Florida will still be good, and I think they'll still be an NCAA tournament team. It's just that it's going to be a whole different thing without Mary Wise as the head coach. And then Stanford's also going to have some question marks. Who's going to be the setter following the graduation of Cami Minor? It's looking like it's going to be Ipar Kurt and whatnot. So you have that right there. But they've also got Aaliyah Rubin. Another big question mark is who's going to fill the void at the libero position following the graduation of Alina Ogilvy. So overall, I think that Stanford should be fine in this matchup. But I will just say, I feel Stanford will probably be a little bit outmatched in terms of the ACC, but I think Stanford, I'm going to see them next Saturday when they take on Oregon State. I wish I could see them next Friday when they take on Long Beach State, but oh well. And I'm jumping all over the place. Ipar Kurt is one of their outsides, not their setter. So I'm jumping the gun when it comes to who else is going to be who's going to be on their roster. So. But yeah, looking at their setter room, they've got Logan Tusher, which is a sophomore. They've got Logan Parks, who's an opposite and a setter. They've got Taylor Yu, who I think can definitely make the jump. And a player that I think many people forget about is Julia Blyashov, who she didn't really play too much, but I think she'll get some playing time. And keep an eye on this player for the near future, Casey DiMaria. She's a fantastic player. She's played on the youth U.S. national teams. I think it was the U19 team. She definitely has the talent and the height. So remember that name, Casey DiMaria. So, but I feel Stanford should win this one. Could I be wrong? Of course I can, but you never know. And honestly, I don't think I think Florida's going to have a little bit of a rude awakening when it comes to this matchup, but we'll see. All right, but that's that for Friday's matches. So jumping to Saturday, you've got Kansas versus Vanderbilt. All right, so Vanderbilt's an interesting team. So this is going to be their first time they've had varsity collegiate volleyball in a hot minute. And man, talk about fire by baptism or baptism by fire. They play Kansas, which is number 14 in the nation to start. So I guess it would be a good idea to just put up the AVCA poll from the preseason. So nothing's really changed and whatnot. So, but yeah, Kansas takes on Vanderbilt. Look, it's great that Vanderbilt is back, but I think Kansas is still going to be good. I can't imagine this team take a step back, especially with its new coaching staff. Like, this coaching staff is so legit. So I can't imagine Kansas losing this one. I mean, it's good that Vanderbilt is part of this whole AVCA first serve challenge, but I'll be honest, I just don't think that Vanderbilt's going to keep up with Kansas. But who knows? Maybe they will. Maybe they'll surprise us all. But I just think that Kansas is going to have too much firepower. And then also on Saturday, you got Creighton, number 12 Creighton taking on number 2 Penn State. This one's going to be fun just because this is a rematch of last year's Elite Eight matchup where Penn State wound up winning in 5. So both of these teams are kind of coming in with a new look. Penn State, obviously the look of a national champion, and they still have quite a plethora of players that they return, like Caroline Juravicius, Maggie Mendelson, Izzy Stark, Gillian Grimes, and so on and so forth. They obviously will debut Kennedy Martin, which will be such a treat to have. So you have that right there. And then Creighton, obviously they returned Ava Martin, but they got hit hard in terms of graduation. Like, the last year was kind of their year of, they should have had at least this. That last year was kind of their window of winning it all. I feel they're kind of going to have it's a whole new regime, new head coach with Brian Rosen. And then you've also got a lot of new faces on their team other than Ava Martin. So I think for this Creighton team, I think they're going to struggle a bit, but honestly, I think they've still got a lot of promise onto their team. I think they have a good roster. They should win the Big East. I can't imagine Marquette knocking them off their pedestal, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I feel Creighton does have some upside to them, but I just think that it's going to be a little bit of a new season and a little bit of some growing pains here and there. So there you have it right there when it comes to those two matchups right there on Saturday. Then jumping over to Sunday, you got Florida versus Pitt. All right, this is just like what I mentioned previously. Pitt will be coming in with still some swagger and talent on their team. Florida is going to come in with a little bit of a new face, new regime thing. Florida will probably have some growing pains because they're facing two top 10 opponents. And then Pitt, I think, they definitely should win. I can't imagine Pitt losing to Florida early on. Like, Pitt should handle this one. But again, this is week one. You never know what you can expect. I think Florida is a solid team. But again, with all the talent that kind of came in and came out, especially with Kennedy Martin, and then a new head coach, I just think that Florida's going to struggle to start early on. And then following the Florida-Pitt matchup, you've got number 6 Stanford taking on number 1 Nebraska. Oh boy, Pinnacle Bank Arena is going to be rocking for this matchup. And I just got to say, I really wish I could have attended this first serve challenge, which I just don't have the funds to make it out there. I can't even afford to make it to Chicago for the VNL, but I digress. All right, so Stanford is Stanford's an interesting team. We don't know who their setter is going to be, and will Elia Rubin be able to take over for the Stanford team, or will she be able to go off for the Stanford team? I just feel that Nebraska being at home in front of probably quite a number of fans is going to be absolutely astounding. They return so much talent. I can't imagine Nebraska losing to Stanford. If this were not in Nebraska, maybe I'd give Stanford a chance, but honestly, I think there's just too many question marks with Nebraska. Or I'm sorry, too many question marks with Stanford and not a lot of question marks with Nebraska. And again, I forgot to mention, this is the first week under Danny Busboom Kelly, which obviously Nebraska wants to put on for their former Nebraska player, and they want to put on for their fans. So I can't imagine Nebraska splitting with or losing to Stanford. And no offense, this is no knock on Stanford, by the way. I'm not trying to say Stanford is going to lose to Nebraska. It's just that Nebraska returns so much talent. It's hard for me to give Stanford a chance to win this one, but crazy things have happened in week one, so we'll see. And then Monday, Monday we'll actually head to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and this will be the final day of the first serve challenge. So you've got Penn State taking on Kansas. All right, this is an interesting match. I feel Kansas might actually be able to hold their own against Penn State. I feel Penn State does have a lot of talent, but now that they're the reigning national champs, I feel there's now a massive target on their back. And again, I think we could be seeing a little bit of a challenge from Kansas, but you never know with week one. I just feel that Penn State still has quite a bit of firepower on their team. I just can't imagine Penn State losing this one. Maybe Kansas takes a set off them. Maybe Kansas will push them to 5. I feel Kansas will give them some sort of challenge. I just don't see Penn State losing this one. I think Penn State just has that team that can definitely build off of last year's national championship. And then closing off the first serve challenge, we have number 9 Texas A&M taking on number 11 Minnesota. This one's going to be fun. I think this one is probably going to be a low-key banger. I feel this is the battle of two teams that definitely have to prove themselves within their conference. Minnesota has quite a number of talented players on their team. So does Texas A&M, led by Taylor Lednicki, who had herself quite the busy summer. I mean, this one is a toss-up in my opinion. I think Nebraska or Minnesota can definitely win this one. I feel Texas A&M, after their Sweet 16 run, I think they definitely have potential to win this matchup. I think, to me, Texas A&M has a lot of expectations this year, and I think they could definitely make a push to win the SEC championship. But we shall see. Minnesota also, I think, has a little bit to prove this year. They're chosen to finish 4th in the Big Ten. I feel maybe that might be a little too high for them. I think maybe UCLA should be 4, but we shall see. Again, Minnesota is always talented under Keegan Cook. They are definitely a force to be reckoned with. I just want to see what this Minnesota team can do. I want to see a full competent season from the Golden Gophers, but that's basically it for all of these NCAA women's volleyball matches for week 1. And my golly, I forgot to actually put the top 5 teams that you all should be watching for, that I'll be watching for. But I'll probably add that a little bit later on the show. So we'll circle the wagons back to the NCAA women's volleyball scene. But we'll pump the brakes on this for a little bit. So let's jump on into some AVP action. So the AVP had its final tournament before the AVP League Championship, the granddaddy of them all, the Manhattan Beach Open, and it was a banger. This is still one of my bucket list things. So on the women's side, you got Taryn Brasher and Kristen Nuss repeating as AVP champions, which is absolutely amazing. So they're actually the number 1 overall seed, and Therese Cannon and Megan Kraft were the number 2 overall seed. And Brasher and Nuss, or TKN, were able to take down Therese Cannon and Megan Kraft in a grueling 3 sets. It was a very fun match, and honestly, that final could have gone either way. Remember, these pairs actually met up in the Huntington Beach Open, where TKN was able to get the better of Therese Cannon and Megan Kraft. So Brasher and Nuss defend their Manhattan Beach Open championship, which I think is absolutely great on their part. But do keep an eye out for Therese Cannon and Megan Kraft. They are the real deal. I definitely think they've got a lot of upside to their team chemistry. I think they'll be vying for a spot in the 2028 Olympics. So do not sleep on Megan Kraft and Therese Cannon. So rounding off the top 8, you had Corinne Quiggle and Tegan Van Gunst tying for 3rd, along with Kennedy Coakley and Ashley Pater. That pair right there, Kennedy Coakley and Ashley Pater, USC duo, those two really turned a lot of heads. They were actually the number 19 seed overall, and they wound up upsetting Kelly Cheng and Molly Shaw in the quarterfinals. Keep in mind, Kelly Cheng is an Olympian, so amazing win right there for Ashley Pater and Kennedy Coakley for a double-digit seed to pretty much make it all the way to Championship Sunday was absolutely amazing on their part. And then tying for 5th was Kelly Cheng and Molly Shaw, along with Megan J. Rice and Gina Arango. And then tying for 7th, it was Savvy Simo and Abby Van Winkle, along with Anaya Evans and Tori Van Winden. So Tori Van Winden and Anaya Evans, they actually were the 20th seed. They actually had to make it out of the qualifier round to actually qualify for the main draw, and they were able to do so. And the fact that they made it all the way to the quarterfinals is pretty amazing, if you ask me. So hats off to Anaya Evans and Tori Van Winden. So I don't know why they. Okay, I guess Kelly Cheng and Molly Shaw and Megan Rice and Gina Arango wound up playing a 5th place matchup. So probably just for classification and seeding and whatnot, just because they want to give some of the pairs one more match for the road. And then tying for 9th was Kylie DeBerg and Jolani Hodel, Elena Chacon and Morgan Chacon, Ella Connor and Isabella Martinez, and Kelly Bellardi and Natalie Mizozinski. So Mizozinski and Bellardi were actually another qualifier pair that actually made it out of the qualifying round. They're actually the 5th qualifier and the number 27 seed overall, and they were able to make it to the top 16. So that's actually pretty darn good on their behalf. So hats off to some of those qualifiers that were able to make it to the main draw, and to those that made it all the way to championship to the Saturday matches. Bully for you. So there is that right there for the women's side. So the men's side, you got Chase Budinger taking down Trevor Crabb and Phil Dahlhauser on the men's side. So Chase Budinger and Miles Evans, as we all know, they're Olympians. They were able to make it to the knockout round of the Olympics last year, and those two are also AVP League champions from last year. Unfortunately, they will not be able to defend their crown this week, but hey, it's still pretty respectable of what they did. Winning the Manhattan Beach Open is never easy, and the fact that they're able to do so against a talented pair such as Trevor Crabb and Phil Dahlhauser is quite amazing. And pretty much the entire Final Four or the semifinals of the men's AVP Manhattan Beach Open was pretty much all chalk. It was basically the 1 seed, the 1, 2, 3, and 4 seed wound up winning their way to the Final Four. So there you have it right there. So the third place finishers were Taylor Crabb and Taylor Sander. Yeah, Taylor Crabb and Trevor Crabb actually had to face one another. Their pairs had to face one another, and Trevor Crabb was able to get the better of Taylor Crabb. Trevor Crabb improves to 19-13 overall against his brother Taylor. So for those that are keeping score of the Crabb Boilers, Trevor still has the upper hand against Taylor. And also Kame Schulk and James Shaw tied for third as well. Tying for fifth was Avery Drost and Wyatt Harrison. Shout out to the former set point guest in front of the show. Then you also had Dylan Merrick and Lev Prima, or I'm sorry, Triborn and Nick Lucena tying for fifth as well. So Triborn actually had a new partner as Evan. I think it was Evan Corey, or I think it was Evan Corey. Regardless, Triborn had to have a new partner, and Nick Lucena was nice enough to step in. So Triborn, this was actually Triborn's final AVP tournament, as he's going to ride off into the sunset in terms of the end of this season. So yeah, it's an end of an era for Triborn, but more on that later. So tying for seventh was Tim Baumgren and Ryan Wilcox, as well as Dylan Merrick and Lev Prima. And then tying for ninth was Hagen Smith and Logan Weber, Billy Allen and Paul Lotman, Alison Cerruti and Alvaro Fijo, and Lars Basie and Jake Uruida. So, by the way, Jake Uruida and Lars Basie were actually the 17th seed. They actually made it from the qualifier round. They were the second qualifier. So good on them for making it to the top 16 and finishing ninth. So good job to them. And that at least the top 9. So either way, no, that pretty much is the top 16. But regardless, good on them for making it through the qualifiers and into the main draw. So there you have it right there. And that is pretty much that for the AVP's Manhattan Beach Open. Yeah, it's the granddaddy of them all. And for those that won, you're going to be getting your name on the Manhattan Beach. And for Teran and Kristen, they'll be getting the name on the pier yet again. So there you have it right there. So there's no AVP events this week, but next week or next weekend, it will actually be the AVP League Championship, which will be held in Chicago, Illinois. So nothing this weekend, but the following week is going to be fun times, as you've got the AVP League Championship on Oak Street. So I think it's going to be team championships and then men's and women's championships. So there you have it right there. But more on this a whole lot later. More of a preview on this later on. So there you have it right there. That's pretty much that for the AVP. And I guess it's also worth noting that the AVP is down to just one more tournament, the Laguna Open. So this is a contender event. That won't be until September 12th and the 13th. So that'll be on a Friday and a Saturday. So there you go. I'll see if I'll go there, but I think I might have to. Well, Long Beach State plays Oregon that night at Long Beach State, and then Long Beach State also plays San Diego State the day after. So we'll see what happens when it comes to my schedule. Maybe I'll make it to the Laguna Open in day 2. Maybe I won't. We shall see. But that's going to do it for some AVP action. That will do it right there. And then, so we'll take ourselves a quick little commercial break. When we come back, we've got some high school girls volleyball to discuss. But before that, I want to thank Triborn, give him a set point salute for everything he did, for having an amazing beach volleyball career. He was born for greatness, born for volleyball. He was absolutely amazing. So thank you, Triborn, for everything that you did. All us volleyball fans will never forget everything that you did. So congratulations on an outstanding beach volleyball career. But if you ever want to come back, you know where to find the AVP. I mean, that's what Trevor Crabb did last year. Last year, we all thought the AVP League was going to be his final stop, and then he came back, which I think is pretty darn cool if you ask me. So there you go. So thank you, Triborn, for an amazing beach volleyball career. And with that, we will take a quick commercial break. When we come back, some high school volleyball to discuss, a little bit of some USA men's volleyball national team scrimmage action, and much more. So keep it locked here. You were listening to Set Point here on IA Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
For the last 10 years, IA Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IA Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at IESportsRadio.com. At IESportsRadio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at iSports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making iSports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Notorious Law.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies,
And your one-timers,
you wicked wristas.
and be sure to protect your 5-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
Back with segment number 2 of Set Point here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows. We got plenty of shows dedicated to other sports, and we have shows that are dedicated to all sorts of wackiness and whatnot. But without any further delay, let's get on into the second part of our show. So let's talk some USA men's volleyball. So this weekend, or this Friday, the U.S. men's national team will have another red versus blue scrimmage, but this time it'll be on Friday at Vanguard University at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So this past Thursday, the U.S. men's national team had a red versus blue scrimmage between obviously themselves, and it was a red versus blue scrimmage, but it was at Cypress College. So first and foremost, shout out to all of the fans for filling the stands and whatnot. I know Cypress College isn't as big of a venue as like most four-year universities, but still, it meant a lot. It was sold out, so hats off to everyone for basically doing their part in filling the stands. You all deserve a bravo, in my opinion. So great stuff. All right, and also that scrimmage right there at Cypress College, it was actually pretty darn good. We got to see Taylor Averill and Micah Ma back on the floor. It was actually their first event since they played in the Olympics last year, when they won the bronze medal for the U.S. in the Olympics and the Paris Olympics. So overall, it was a very fun scrimmage between two teams. Lots of players stepped up. You had Cooper Robinson stepping up for the red team. Matt Knigge was absolutely amazing in the middle for the blue team. You also had Jordan Ewart stepping up as well on the pins as well. So I really think that this U.S. men's national team, they have the talent. It's just a matter of putting everything together and getting more of the experienced players back on the court. So I really think that this USA team is going to look good when it comes to the World Championship, which I think is next week. So, I think it's either next week or the following week. But regardless, this U.S. men's national team is going to look good. I've been saying it. I said it at the scrimmage, and I said it to the players. This team definitely has the potential. It's just a matter of putting it all together and basically getting all like the jitters out, because there was a lot of inexperience when it came to the VNL, but I think that this USA team is going to be riding high when it comes to the post scrimmages, because they'll learn a lot about themselves, and they'll definitely want to see their fans one more time. So there you have it right there. So that is that for the scrimmage. Again, it's already sold out. I forgot to mention that this week's scrimmage at Vanguard University is actually sold out. So if you got your ticket, awesome. But if you didn't get your ticket, well, I'm sorry to tell you this, you won't be watching. You'll have to hope that someone will be streaming, which I highly doubt, just because USA/Volleyball World rules still apply. If you stream, then your credential gets taken away and you might get kicked out. So if anyone asks me, can you stream the scrimmage, I will gladly say no. Anyway, so that'll do it for the USA men's volleyball scrimmage. But a lot of talent, a lot of great coaching. I think this USA men's national team is going to look absolutely amazing this upcoming World Championship. So there you go. All right, but that is that right there. So let's jump on into some high school girls volleyball. So you got the Ann Kang tournament. So the Ann Kang tournament is one of the more pristine and prestigious tournaments to kick off the girls volleyball season. And honestly, it was a fun tournament. So they actually did the format a little bit different. So it was actually the top 4 teams from each pool advanced to the gold bracket and whatnot. So the top 4 teams from each pool were Where is it? If this thing wants to load. So yeah, it was. So from Pool A, we had Byron Nelson as the first place team, Sierra Canyon as the second place team, Iolani, the host team, as the third place team, and then Mira Costa inching their way as the fourth place team. So a lot of talent from this pool. You had teams like Cornerstone Christian, which was the number 2 seed of the pool, not even making it. They were actually, surprisingly enough. You had Huntington Beach, who I definitely think their record was not indicative of this whole tournament. That it was, I think the record of Huntington Beach from the I think Huntington Beach definitely was better as they finished pool play 1-5, but more on that a little bit later. And then Pool B, you had Redondo Union as the first place team. You had Punahou as the second place team, Los Alamitos as the third place team, and then the fourth place team was J. Sarah, as they barely were able to edge out Bishop Gorman. As if I recall correctly, Bishop Gorman did not have the tiebreaker over J. Sarah. What? Wait. Hold on. Yeah, they didn't play one another, so that's interesting. So yeah, J. Sarah, if in the event that a tie occurs when it comes to pool play in terms of the same records, it goes to number of games won and lost, aka set percentage, and J. Sarah had 7 sets won and 6 sets lost, while Bishop Gorman had 6 sets won and 7 sets lost. So that's how J. Sarah was able to inch their way into the gold bracket. So yeah, tough tamale for Bishop Gorman. They're one of the better teams in Nevada, probably the best team in Nevada for that matter. So there you go. So in the gold bracket, you had Byron Nelson sweeping J. Sarah 25-16, 25-22. You had Redondo Union avoiding a big-time upset and taking down Mira Costa in 3, 21-25, 25-21, or 25-21, 21-25, and 15-11. You had Iolani beating Punahou in a Hawaiian thriller. Remember, this is those two are two of the best teams from Hawaii, and Iolani just barely beat Punahou 25-21, 18-25, and 16-14. And then in the final gold quarterfinal, you had Sierra Canyon beating Los Alamitos 25-18 and 25-22. Kendall Omarui did not play for Sierra Canyon as she is still in the sit-out period from the CIF Southern section. But someone who did play was McKenna McIntosh. So interesting development right there. So in the semifinals, you had Byron Nelson taking on Iolani. Byron Nelson stood on business as they swept Iolani 25-20 and 25-14. And then this one was kind of a stunner. Redondo Union took down Sierra Canyon 25-23 and 25-23. Redondo Union needed a little bit of a comeback in that second set, as I think they were down 22-20, and they were able to turn the tide against the Trailblazers. So keep an eye out for Redondo Union this year in terms of the CIF Southern section. And also keep an eye out for Sierra Canyon. They returned a lot of their players from last year, and then obviously having McKenna McIntosh and Kendall Omarui are both game changers. And then in the championship match, you had Byron Nelson sweeping Redondo Union 25-20 and 25-18 and 25-19. So Byron Nelson repeated as tournament champions as they took down the same team that they beat last year in the tournament championship in Redondo Union. So this Byron Nelson team is something else. It's just ridiculous how good Byron Nelson is. I'm sorry, but it's just absolutely sickening. It's sickening in a good way. It's sickening for other teams. And the crazy thing is that Byron Nelson only dropped 1 set all tournament, and that was to Sierra Canyon, which I wouldn't be surprised if Byron Nelson didn't drop another set. Well, another set, let alone any match this year, because Byron Nelson returns practically everybody from last year's team. I'm surprised Prep Volleyball had them at number 2 to start off this season. So we'll see what happens with Byron Nelson going forward. The next time we'll probably see them in a major tournament is probably the Durango tournament in Las Vegas, Nevada. So definitely keep an eye on Byron Nelson. They are from Trophy Club, Texas. So not a bad showing. It just goes to show that volleyball from Texas actually hits a whole lot different from volleyball elsewhere. But there is lots of talent all over the place. And what's his face? Mick Haley one time said it in a in an interview with, or in an episode of Six Rotations with Daniel Gilman, former Set Point guest. He said that Texas high school volleyball is the hotbed for all of volleyball over California for the time being. But there's still a lot of talent coming out of California. So I as a Californian can make the argument that California could still have more talent than Texas, but I digress. I think wherever you're from, if you're able to play at the collegiate level, no matter what it is, whether it's junior college, Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, you're still absolutely amazing. So there you have it right there. And that'll do it for that little tournament. And then I guess another tournament that I went to pretty much in the late stages was the Tesoro tournament in Rancho Santa Margarita or Las Flores. So this tournament was interesting. So there was only 15 teams in this tournament, and it's normally a 3-day tournament, but the tournament director told me that teams didn't want to go back and forth on 3 different days. There's actually four teams that were pretty much traveling probably an hour to Tesoro High School, and that was Long Beach Poly, Long Beach Millikan, South Torrance, last year's tournament champion, and La Habra. So it's totally understandable of the tournament director making this only a 2-day tournament. So it is what it is, and normally I PA announce the tournament final, but since the tournament format is a 2-day tournament, I wasn't PA announcing, but oh well. In the end, Newport Harbor wound up winning that tournament. They took down Trabuco Hills and Laguna Beach in pool play. Then they took down a San Juan Hills team that was actually missing their star player, Megan Hodges. So, man, that's tough if you're San Juan Hills, losing out on maybe one of the better players in the class of 2027. No, 2028. Sorry, my bad. 2028. So that's tough right there. But honestly, that's not too bad of a showing for San Juan Hills. But it is what it is. And Newport Harbor does have a lot of talent on their team. New head coach as well, and Pat Eaton. He's a pretty darn good head coach. Used to coach at Tesoro, so this was actually a pretty good homecoming for him. And then Newport Harbor beats Edison, their league rival, Edison of Huntington Beach, in the semifinals, and then they took down San Clemente in the championship match, which was absolutely amazing. San Clemente does have a lot of talent on their team. They held their own against against Mater Dei, and I think they'll be able to hold their own in the Seaview League. So, but to Newport Harbor, they're able to win that tournament, and they're 6-0 to start. So that's a very good start for them. And they obviously the tournament MVP was Ella Olson, committed to Texas for both indoor and beach volleyball. So great stuff for her. So there you have it right there. Just wanted to get that quick tournament out of the way. And then there's this other high school volleyball news where someone committed to play at USC for not only beach volleyball, but indoor volleyball. And that was actually Kate Jackson. So I'm going to take a moment to really give Kate Jackson her flowers. First and foremost, she's a fantastic player. It doesn't show on the prep dig ratings. It probably doesn't show on the prep volleyball ratings. It probably doesn't show on anyone's radar. But Kate Jackson is a fantastic, talented player. It seems like she gets better every year. She's only a junior, but she's already making the jump to having top spin serves. And she's perfected that almost to a T. And she's going to really be key for the Santa Margarita team. And I know she's listed as defensive specialist as well, but I think she could play the pins as well. She's 5'11". I think she has a lot of upside to her game. She plays a lot of great defense as well. And again, she works the pins really well to her advantage. So I definitely think Kate Jackson deserves this. She's going to play both indoor and beach. So she'll be playing for Brad Keller and Dane Blanton, 2 really good coaches. So I just got to say, USC, you got a good one with Kate Jackson. She's a fantastic player, hardworking, a lot of good work ethic. I'm not saying that because her parents told me to. No, this is coming straight from the heart. Kate Jackson is a fantastic player, and USC got a real good one. So congratulations to Kate Jackson on her commitment to USC. A set point salute to you, Miss Jackson. And I can't wait to see what you can do this season. All right, but that's that for that some high school volleyball news. So I guess some notable class of 2027 girls volleyball players that aren't committed. We still have yet to see Ireland Real committing. It's getting to me. It's killing me, y'all. I really don't know where Ireland Real will commit to. All eyes are on her when it comes to the class of 2027. She is a fantastic player. There's nothing to I could maybe write a book about Ireland Real and how fantastic she is. I've talked about her on past shows. Will definitely say this till the cows come home. She is a fantastic player, and nobody can tell me otherwise. And one program that lands her is going to be a very, very, very fortunate program. I just really am I'm just in anticipation mode of where she's going to commit, just because she's been crushing it ever since her freshman year. Then you got Kalia Lee, who is not committed yet. I still can't wait to see what she can do. You also got Eva Jeffries, who I don't think is committed, though I think one of Sierra Canyon's players is committed to Missouri. Then you got Dakota Huynh, uncommitted. This is all courtesy of Prep Dig, by the way. Then McKenna Barnes, Cynthia Ackerman, Hannah McGinnis, Olivia Greenwood, and then Brooke Friesen, who is just outside of the top 50. So those pretty much are some of the notable players that have not committed in terms of the class of 2027 girls volleyball players. Again, my list is unfortunately a couple of players just because of character limit, but I digress. So that is that right there when it comes to now that's official when it comes to high school girls volleyball news. I'll have more next week. I guess, it's tough to really say which are some notable matches to watch for this week. I guess Sierra Canyon and I'm sorry, not Sierra Canyon, Santa Margarita and Torrey Pines. That's going to be a fun one. That's going to be tomorrow as this is being recorded on Monday. Definitely do check out that matchup, and you will get to see Kate Jackson put on a show. I promise you, she will not disappoint, as well as Ireland Real. She will do amazing stuff, and both Santa Margarita and Torrey Pines are both well coached, even though Santa Margarita does have a first-year head coach, but they are well coached in their own rights. So you have that matchup right there. I guess Thursday, this one can kind of be a good matchup. Los Alamitos hosting Mater Dei. Now, here's the interesting thing about Mater Dei. They did lose Laylee Ostavar to a foot injury. I was at that match on last Tuesday when Mater Dei played San Clemente. And, oh, God, that was just not fun to see Laylee Ostavar hurt. And a poor thing. She was I hate to have to say this, but she was in tears. And I'm hoping it's not a long-term injury. I hope this isn't going to be an injury where she's going to miss league. I really wish I could go to that Mater Dei Los Alamitos matchup, but unfortunately I have a commitment on Thursday, so I'll have to miss that. However, I've got plenty of other Mater Dei matches and Los Alamitos matches that I'll be going to, so nothing that I will be crying over when it comes to that. So there you have it right there, and that's pretty much it for some of the notable high school girls volleyball matches that you should be watching for. So now let's get on into my high school girl, or not high school. Let's get on into the notable NCAA Division I women's volleyball teams that you should be watching for, in my opinion. So we'll start off with this one, UCLA. Come on, this is a no-brainer here. UCLA might have probably the most anticipated team this year. I can't imagine a scenario where this team is going to miss the NCAA tournament. As long as they stay healthy, as long as they don't have too many bad losses, as long as they can finish above 500, this UCLA team is going to be fun and special. This UCLA team is going to be on a tear. This UCLA team is probably going to be, it may be one of their best teams in a hot minute. It might be their best team since maybe their 2011 team, which wound up winning the national championship that year. Fun fact, Dan Odell, Mater Dei girls volleyball coach, was on that coaching staff. So you have that right there. And then another team that you should be watching for is Texas A&M. This is a team that I think is going to challenge their way through the SEC. I can definitely see Texas A&M really putting pressure on the likes of Texas and Kentucky. This Texas A&M team is going to be something special. I really think Texas A&M is going to be very fun to watch for this year. I can't imagine this Texas A&M team with the likes of Logan Lednicki not performing at their best. And Jamie Morrison's really got them going in the correct direction. So I think Texas A&M is going to have a lot of upside this year. All eyes are on them after their Sweet 16 run, and they had themselves a battle against Wisconsin last year in the Sweet 16. So definitely keep an eye out for the Aggies. They're going to be a fun team to watch. And then jumping down to the Big 12, you've got BYU. All right, this one's an interesting team. So BYU was chosen to finish first in the Big 12. I really want to see what BYU can do just because Claire Little, I think she got married, but I digress. But Claire Little is going to be a talented player to watch for. I think she has the potential to lead BYU to greater heights because last year, let's be honest, last year was very disappointing in terms of the NCAA tournament. They wound up losing in the first round to Loyola Chicago, which BYU hasn't been out of the first round since probably 8 years ago when Heather Olmstead first took over and whatnot. It might have been even before the Heather Olmstead era, but I digress. And keep in mind, Loyola Chicago was a team that had yet to win an NCAA tournament match. So I expect better things from BYU this year. I feel Kansas is going to challenge them in the Big 12, but BYU should be able to edge their way to winning the Big 12, but we shall see. And then jumping over to the Big West, I hate to sound Big West biased, but Hawaii. So their last year in the Big West Conference, they have such a great team. They have Taylor Hawkins returning. Their only question mark is who will replace Kaylin Alexander, who will replace Kate Lang. They should have that covered. I think this Hawaii team returns more of its players from. They return most of its players from last year's team. I think Hawaii is going to do great things this year, and this is basically their swan song in the Big West Conference. So I really think Hawaii is going to be a fun team to watch for. I really think that they're going to be electric, especially if you go to the Stan Sheriff Center. Like, it's one thing to watch on ESPN Plus, or Spectrum Hawaii, but it's another to watch Hawaii women's volleyball or men's volleyball in person. This is a very fun team, and Stan Sheriff Center always gets packed, and it's always loud and rocking, especially in the big time matches. So that's why you should also keep an eye out for Hawaii as well. And like I said, last year in the Big West Conference, I know a lot of the Big West Conference teams aren't going to be missing Hawaii all that much, but I'll just say it right here and then. Hawaii when Hawaii plays on the road, their fans travel well, and they help boost the numbers. So there you go. I think Hawaii, in my opinion, is the Nebraska of the non-Power Fives. That's my opinion. I know Hawaii didn't really have that deep tournament run last year, but I imagine Hawaii's ceiling will be a lot more bigger. Speaking of Kaylin Alexander, the last team I think you all should watch for is Missouri. This is another good team that really surprised a lot of teams. They took down Kansas in the round of 32. Or was it SMU? I think it was SMU, actually. But regardless, this is a very good Missouri team. They got Kaylin Alexander. They have a whole new culture under Dawn Sullivan. She's a fantastic coach. She turned around UNLV. She's turning around Missouri. This is a Missouri team that wound up making it all the way to the Sweet 16. This Missouri team is back, and I think they're going to be challenging their way against the other teams in the SEC as well. So if I'm Kentucky, Texas A&M, or any team in the SEC, I'm nervous when facing Missouri because this Missouri team could definitely punch above its weight. So they're going to be fun. They're going to be exciting. They're going to be electric, and they're going to shock the entire SEC. I'm not saying, and I'm not going to put Missouri on a pedestal of winning the SEC just because Kentucky has a lot of talent, but I think Missouri is going to really, really make a lot of these SEC teams a living nightmare when it comes to this season. So there you have it right there. Those are my 5 teams that you all should be watching for in NCAA Women's Volleyball Division I. Who are your teams that you think that we all should be watching for in NCAA Women's Volleyball that aren't getting a whole lot of love? I mean, it's understandable that BYU, Missouri, Texas A&M, and UCLA are ranked, but Hawaii is definitely a dark horse team, in my opinion. I mean, they draw a lot of lot of crowds and whatnot. They're fun to watch. And like I said, the Stan Sheriff Center might be one of the more storied venues in all of volleyball. But there you have right there. That is going to do it for all my teams to watch for in terms of NCAA Women's Volleyball Division I. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Set Point. Season 7 is already underway. This is obviously fun and whatnot. So, yeah, I can't believe we're already in season 7. It feels like yesterday I first started Set Point, and it's only a matter of time before Set Point turns, 6 years old. It's not going to turn 6 years old for another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more weeks. So in 6 more weeks, 43 days, Set Point will be turning 6 years old, which I think is pretty awesome. But for now, that's going to do it for the Season 7 premiere of Set Point. For everyone here at IE Sports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Have yourself an amazing week. Enjoy all the volleyball action. NCAA Women's Volleyball is back, baby. If you're going to be at Vanguard University, hopefully, if USA Volleyball gives me the green light, I will see you on Friday at Vanguard University for the USA Men's Volleyball scrimmage, red versus blue. And until then, enjoy all the volleyball action. Have a great week, and I will see you hopefully on Friday. Peace and blessings, everybody. NCAA Women's Volleyball is back.